Guys, Ash here coming at you today with another Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guide. Welcome to the video, guys. Glad to have you here chilling with me, talking a little SIGMUND the Highshield today. So shout out to Justin, just pulled him while going for Rotos and Sify. Want to know your opinion. Well, unfortunately, not quite as high as it is on SIGMUND, or excuse me, on Rotos and Sify, but still, it's pretty high. Prince looking for a guide on SIGMUND. We have Castillo, Efren Jr. I like the name here. Free to play, pulled SIGMUND, wants to see a guide on him. We have Monkey 1657 looking to show some love to SIGMUND, along with Monkey again, and then Jaleel Anderson looking for a little SIGMUND the Highshield. So guys, Robert and everybody else, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into him. What is this dude? Who is this dude? What does he do? So guys, SIGMUND the Highshield is a Bannerlord legendary champion. He's a previous fusion inside the game. I didn't go for him when he was a fusion. Not that I didn't want him, but I don't really go for many fusions in this game. I find them to be very, well, I just made a whole video about it on my Ash Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel. And something about him, man, like, it's when this game feels most like a chore and a job to me, and I just don't want that association with this game. So anyway, I know some of you guys enjoy them. I'm not trying to like crap on fusions and fragment summons. Just not my thing. Sometimes I do go for them if they're like a can't miss. He was borderline, honestly. I wouldn't consider him a can't miss. I wouldn't consider him the best fusion of all time or anything like that, but he's definitely capable. He's competent, and he's better than average, I would say. First of all, well, he's SIGMUND the Highshield, and he's got a big ass shield, man. It's looking pretty good. I like the aesthetic on this dude. He really fits with the Bannerlords. He's got the stash as well. He's got the stash going on. Overall, I like the look of this guy, right? Very legendary look. I like kind of the blue and white pattern here as well. Very, very kind of right out of the Middle Ages, right? On his fair fight A1, it's actually a pretty good A1 here, guys. Attacks one enemy, removes any shield buffs, okay? Then has a 75% chance of removing one random buff, and then has a 100% chance instead when attacking against bosses. This is great, especially in Hydra Clan boss, where you can go in there and steal a buff every single time, or remove, excuse me, a buff, right? It's really nice. On the A2, it's a battlefield beacon. It's an AoE. It's a 2-time hitter, okay? Attacks all enemies 2 times. On the first hit, we place a provoke. On the second hit, we place a decrease attack. Now, the downside is it's only 75% chance of landing that provoke and the decrease attack. Of course, we can get that decrease attack up to a 80% chance with the sniper mastery. But on the provoke side of things, man, 75% on a 3-turn cooldown for me is not enough to justify SIGMUND the Highshield being my only provoke Hydra Clan boss champion. But let's not just talk about Hydra Clan boss. First of all, he's still great in Hydra Clan boss, right? But think about it on waves anywhere, right? Doom Tower waves, Faction Wars waves, or against bosses as well. Ice Golem, like bosses who hit hard, essentially, right? Very good to have that decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown, and very good to help you get to said bosses to have the provoke there. On the A3, Shield of the Realm. This is a very good ability. On a 3-turn cooldown again, so both of his A2 and A3 on 3-turn cooldowns, which is what we look for. He's got a shield on all allies, two turns, equal to 30% of this champion's max HP, and his HP scales very well, 21, excuse me, K almost. In addition to that, we have a big version of Strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. So a big version of Strengthen is straight up 25% overall damage mitigation to anybody who has the buff. It's the strongest damage mitigating buff out there, next to Ally Protect 50%. But in those cases, of course, the champion still taking the Protector is still taking the damage. Strengthen is just straight up mitigating 25% of damage. Is very good, okay? So 3-turn cooldown, we love it. Equitable, his passive, whenever the champion's attacked, has a 20% chance or 40 against bosses to decrease the duration of all buffs on the attacker by 1 turn. So very, very nice passive here, guys. 40% against bosses, and as we always say here on the channel, don't be, thrown off by 1 turn and just immediately think down on the ability or the champion or whatever the case may be. one turn oftentimes is all you need, right? It's a removal. And he has that on no cooldown. It's just every time he's attacked, which synergizes very nicely with his provoke. So he's going to be attacked a lot. So he's just reducing or decreasing the duration of buffs pretty much constantly with this equitable passive. It's really what brings his entire kit together. So what are we looking for, or what are we getting out of this champion? We're getting decreased duration of buffs on the passive. We're getting removal of shield. We're getting removal of buffs on his A1. And he's going in with his A1, you know, a decent amount, obviously, right? If you have Retribution, for example, he's going to be counterattacking every time a Provoker attacks him. Not every time, excuse me, have a chance of counterattacking, right? And then Shield of the Realm. We get a great shield, 30% his HP, beautiful, and then strengthened. So a lot of damage mitigation. Moreover, he has defense and Doom Tower battles by 40%. A very, very, very good aura for Doom Tower battles. Of course, where are we going to use this guy? Let's go ahead and take a look here. First of all, multipliers. He's a defensive base champion. His base defense was 1354, okay? His base speed, 97. A little bit below average on both of those stats, to be honest with you, for a legendary champion. Only slightly on both, though, okay? I would say high 1300s would be average for defense, and speed, you know, around 99 or so, 100. So, again, we're really splitting hairs here a little bit. They're not bad, right? Especially when you consider his HP as well. So, his multipliers are actually not bad. A 3.75 defense on the A1, and on the A2, it's a 2 defensive multiplier, but keep in mind, it is a 2-time hitter as well. So, we get a 4, you know, overall potential if we, you know, go additive with the multiplier there on the A2. So yeah, really solid. Let's go ahead and take a look at his rankings here on hellhades.com. They give him the best scores in Doom Tower, Waves, Ice Golem, Scarab King, and Scarab King with the shield makes sense. Eternal, that's about it for Doom Tower though, I must say, which is really a bummer. And I kind of agree with this, honestly. But the good thing about him is this, right? Even though he only scores, you know, a 2.5 in Griffin, a 3 in Eternal Dragon, for example, a 4 in Magma Dragon, actually really good there. He can still be a good support on your team pretty much regardless, right? You can use him against Magma Dragon as a provoker or a secondary provoker on your team, and he's going to keep everybody, do a good job of keeping everybody alive between that provoke, between the decreased attack and the buff removal, the buff reduction, and the strengthen and the shield. Well, you guys get the point by now, but he's just bringing quite a lot to the battle, right? Arena, they give him a 4 out of 5. I think he's a sneaky little progression arena champion, certainly not a meta champion in the arena, but you know, you could do a lot worse. Again, going in there with a provoke to open up the battle, a decrease attack, or if they're already buffed with block debuffs or whatever, you can go in with a shield and the strengthen on your allies, and then that equitable will trigger quite a bit as long as you have enough accuracy on him. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at how I have him built out here. I actually, oftentimes on this channel for these builds, I'll go in and I will, I'll rebuild champions, make sure that everything is optimal. SIGMUND of the High Shield, I did not, or SIGMUND the High Shield. I always say of the High Shield. Like, what's up with that, man? I didn't rebuild anything. I put him in like this haphazard assortment of this smorgasbord, if you will, of artifacts, or a resistance, a defense, and a perception. Because sometimes you can't have every champion in Relentless, right? You can't have every champion in Bolster. I mentioned Relentless and Bolster because I think those are great options for SIGMUND the High Shield. If you want to take it even further, you could maybe flirt with the idea of putting him in Guardian set. Just keep in mind, he's going to be taking a lot of damage between those provokes and the Guardian shared damage as well. But if you want to make him the absolute tank, totally throw away any crit rate, crit damage, any of that stuff, and just make him super tanky. I would not, I would explore the idea of Guardian. I'd probably put him in a Guardian and an Immortal set, okay? Could also go triple Immortal on this champion. So there's different ways you can build him. I do like Bolster, but only for wave content, certainly not for Hydra. On Hydra, I would absolutely, if you have the gear, go Relentless gear, right? Because he's got an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown, could also consider Cursed on this champion, right? Place those hexes on the Hydra heads. It's very, very good. So those are some options for you guys. I went with Brimstone for the Blessing. I want to make sure I have at least one Brimstone champion against every boss battle that I can. We're going to be building him with accuracy anyway, so why not? If I look at his accuracy, 290 plus 10, but my quick math says that 300, it's not high enough for me. So I'm actually going to switch in the accuracy, put him in an accuracy banner. Right now he's in a defense banner, and I just don't, okay, there it is. I don't want to, I mean, sure, we want defense on a defense-based champion, but I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to flirt with being borderline on accuracy. Accuracy for me on this champion is the #1 most important stat. He requires accuracy for his A1, his A2, and his passive. So if you're sliding yourself on accuracy just to get that defense over 4,000, which was the case just a moment ago, you're really sacrificing potentially a ton of what he's doing to support your team. So I have a lot of HP because the shield is based on the HP. I have a decent amount of speed at 222. I do have the crit rate and the crit damage. We'll see what he does. We're going to do a quick, I might do like 100 turns of Hydra Heart or something, just do a quick damage check on this dude. But now we have accuracy on the banner. We have HP on the amulet. We have HP on the ring. I'm not going to make the swap here, but there's nothing wrong with going crit damage. Actually, because I have crit rate on the gauntlets here, I think it makes sense to go with crit damage on the amulet and sacrifice a little bit more survivability. But clearly, at one point, I just wanted that shield to be as big as humanly possible. I do want to go ahead and ascend these and see what I get here. Okay, that's not going to help us at all. Of course, attack is doing nothing for this champion. But hey, perception sets, great. Resistance, sure, whatever. And defense, yeah, like old school if you're a new or a free-to-play player. You know, I guess more new than free-to-play. You know, nothing wrong with just throwing this guy in some defense. Again, I'll reiterate for the last time, Guardian for PvE content outside of Hydra. Hydra, Relentless, and then Arena, Bolster. Those would be the set, my favorite 4-piece sets. Otherwise, just go with something like this. I want to mention one more set to you guys on this dude. Retaliation, the chance of counterattacking when hit, actually synergizes very well with his A1 because he can remove shields. Removing shields on an A1 is very unique. And again, it's what lends itself to him being a very capable and sneaky, annoying arena champion. Shields are everywhere. Sure, it's not going to remove bolster, but everybody has shields, man. Shields are just, they're everywhere. Marichka, the Unbreakable, Mithrala, Helicath. I mean, those are just a few, but they're everywhere. So removing a shield with retaliation is going to be very annoying. Another buff while we're at it too. So I really like that about his A1. Anyway, guys, let me show you the masteries really quickly here. We did go with support and offense just to get a little bit of damage. We already talked about the natural ways that we can use retribution on this champion though. And I guess if you really wanted to, I could forego going offense tree and just go with the defense tree and go with retribution and end with fearsome presence to bring that provoke up to an 80% on the A2 as well. I think it's not a bad idea. Let's go ahead and do it, guys. And let's not do it. I don't want to, I'm really broke on gems right now. But I think if I could redo things, I think I'd just sacrifice the War Master. Heck, I might even put HP percentage on the gauntlets and just make him an all-out support control because that's what he's made to be. But, you know, the multipliers are tempting to take advantage of as well. We'll see how he does damage-wise. Anyway, we went accuracy. We went with charge focus, swarm smiter. We also went with shield bearer to increase the value of his shield, which is very nice. Rapid response after a buff cast by him expires. We get a chance of turn meter improving. And then we went with lasting gifts. And we also went with master hexer to extend the duration of the decrease attack. Now, I do want lasting gifts. I love it because I want to extend the duration of that strengthen on the A3. But it's a shame not to pick up sniper to bump up the decreased attack at the same time. But we can't have 3 tier 5 masteries, can we, guys? All right, let's go ahead and run this dude. We do have faction wars open right now, so let's go ahead and run him in a faction war team. I think we do, at least. Let's check here. Faction wars. Banner lords. I haven't done my tag team arena battles yet. Well, we have Archmage Helmet, Rhonda, Stagnite, Sigmund, and Staltis Dragon Bane. I do have SIGMUND the Highshield +1 empowered, just as a note there for you guys as well. All right, so I didn't even see him go. Oh, did I miss him go? We have Archmage, Stagnite. There he goes. That's his A2. So I think he went with his A3, excuse me, as priority. So if you want him to open with the A2, it looks like you have to go in there and manually put that. Otherwise, he's going to go with the strength and the shield as his first priority in terms of the AI inside the game. Of course, we can change that. I will say this team is performing incredibly well. Going right through those man-eaters, nothing to worry about there. And we get to the boss in around 39, 40 seconds, which is very solid, right? Come in there. He already uses provokes against both of the minions, so we don't have to worry about them. And then I'm curious to see his damage compared to these other champions here. He's not going to mess with Staltis and Rhonda on this team. I mean, they're built with crit damage and to be damage dealers, right, on their gauntlets. The rest of them, though, are not. I would say both Stagnate and Archmage Helmet are probably, I should double check, but they're probably built very similarly to Sigmund. I think I do have them with 100% crit rate, but with crit rate on the gauntlets and nothing, much in addition to that other than maybe crit damage on the amulet. Anyway, here we go, guys. Red Boss is almost down. And I have to say, I mean, he did a hell of a job supporting the team. Now, the only bummer is he doesn't have increased defense to help out defense-based champions like Staltis. The good news is with Staltis, we don't need it. He has his own increased defense, so it actually synergizes very nicely together. And hey, he puts out, about the same as a Stagnite, as a comp, or an Archmage Helmet. And as I said, they're all built roughly the same. So not great, not bad. Staltis put out 888,000. So again, very nice support, very nice control. You saw everything right there in that little tiny window, right? Let's go ahead and go into Clan Boss, Hydra Clan Boss here. And as I mentioned, Hard is the only key that I have left to do. I've already done Brutal and Nightmare. So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. This is my hard team. I have Mithrala, I have Inquisitor, I have Krisk. We have Trunda, we have Lydia. It's a crazy OP team. But there's no reviver on this team. You got to be careful with this squad because if we lose a Trunda or something like that, then we're toast, really, So let's just see him, see a couple attacks by him, and then I'll come back to you guys after about 100 turns. Cloak of Ages, of course, putting in some work there by Trunda. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, what, 100,000 damage? Nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy. Yeah, the more I look at him, the more I really don't want him to be a damage dealer for you guys. I mean, listen, if you're trying to min-max your damage and your team is staying alive anyway, then sure, build him with crit rate like I have today, right? Build him with crit damage. Why not? Why wouldn't you? But if you're progressing with this champion, I'd probably just go all out, defense percentage and HP percentage and just let him do what he does. Make sure you prioritize accuracy and you're going to be A-okay, right? Anyway, I wanted to see him start using his A1 and his passive, but these heads are all decapitated and looking pretty good, honestly, here. But I love the idea of going in there and removing buffs or decreasing duration, especially with that passive. Unfortunately, it looks like with this squad, it's probably not going to be a big thing that we see a lot, right, on this particular difficulty, I should say at least. So, guys, I'll come back to you when we get to around 100 turns. I don't think we'll keep this damage ratio up. It's not like we have 1 or 2 Yumekos on this team, but it's still going to be a very formidable team. I'll be right back in, once we... get to around 100 turns or so. All right, guys, so we let it run 100 rounds. Let's go ahead and end the battle and see the damage here. Again, I wouldn't expect any insane damage or anything from Sigmund, but he is a nice support and obviously mitigator in terms of the decreased attack, right? So not to mention the control and the shield and everything else that we talked about that he brings to the table. So 4.3 milli, a little bit less than Krisk. I do have Krisk built with crit damage on his gauntlet, so really trying to min-max the damage from all of these champions as well. And of course, Trunda putting out, doing what Trunda does, right? 48 million there. So guys, there it is. That's going to be the guide on SIGMUND the Highshield. Very, very cool champion. I've always been a fan. Like I said earlier, I never went for him when he was a fusion in the game, but I'm glad that I pulled him after the fact because he's definitely a very competent and I would say unique support and control champion, all kind of roped into one. Guys, thanks for watching till the end. Go ahead and leave those champion guide recommendations in the comments below. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.